Welcome everyone to the Atomic Cinema Experiment. I am Peter, and joining me for the final time, and given that the new era of Ace has already begun, this is like a zombie coming out of the grave for one last chomp of flesh. Tara is here.
Brains. Hello, everybody.
That makes sense. Given your opinion on Godzilla Minus One, it makes sense you need brains because you don't have any. That's perfect.
That would be sucked.
Shut up! I will not be having this debate with you. All right. Welcome
Did no one else think of Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm when it came to the Kamikaze pilot? Come on. The setup was bound to fail.
Okay. Don't you dare spoil a single thing from that movie, okay? I'm putting the warning out right now.
So that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Welcome everyone, this is Tara's farewell recording. This is going to be her exit interview, if you will. She is going to go down her top 50 sci-fi movies of all time, which is something that we both did back at the end of 2020, so it's been 3 years. And because this was meant to be like a month and a half ago, but it kept getting pushed for various reasons. It's now December, so it's been 3 years because this was a Christmas special in 2020. So I've got Tara's old list up. As Tara's given her top 50, I can tell you if stuff has went up, if stuff has went down, if it's a new entry, and at the end I'll tell you all the things that she had last time that she doesn't have this time. But this is just a Tara list. I'm not doing my list. This is spotlight on Tara and her weird, crazy taste.
My wonderful, unique perspective.
I am dreading some of the weird... Given the last movie you did was Robot Monster and you hit it with like a 9 or something stupid like that.
I believe it was a 10.
Case in point. That
movie is a delight and you're crazy.
Oh my god. It's like... No, what? No.
What?
I'll be accused of sexism if I make that joke, so I'm going to stay away from it. Even though I think it was a funny joke. I'm staying away from it.
We'll all just assume that it was a funny joke.
Just assume, yes. Just assume it was the most hilarious thing you ever heard. Alright, we're going to get into this. Actually, before we start, I suppose I could ask, because a few of the new Ace episodes out already, what do you think of David as your replacement? You've listened to an episode or two now.
I have, yes. I mean, David's very good. He's very thorough. He seems to really enjoy having conversations with you. I haven't found him to be very antagonistic towards you, which I think the people are going to miss. You know, he tends to have the same kind of opinion that you do. But maybe it's because he's been watching you for a while, so you guys kind of, blend.
Interesting. We've definitely had debates and disagreements and argued about things on shows. I will say, he's just not as extremely different as you are, I think is maybe the case. Delusional, one might say.
Well, we have very different backgrounds.
Yes. All right. Well, without further ado, then I suppose we'll get into this top 50.
I would like to celebrate a little bit. I've been saving a bottle of something. I was thinking, since a lot of these top blanks, I've been I usually sip on an alcoholic beverage. I thought I'd bring out a special one. Would you like to see?
Go on. Let's have a look.
From StarTrekWines.com. I have the coveted and illegal Romulan Ale, as first appeared in Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. It's a blue whiskey. This one is Romulan Ale Rye. So this is actually a rye whiskey. And I have not tried it. So I'm excited. I just took the plastic off and I got me a USS Cerritos glass for my beverage. So I thought I'd pour some blue liquid and get totally schlitz tonight.
I'll be honest, because it's blue, it looks like a giant bottle of hand wash Gatorade? Or something like that.
Oh, hand wash. It does look a little bit like the stuff barbers have, like the not Barbasol, but you know what I'm talking about. Stuff they put the combs in.
Yeah.
But Romulan nails always kind of look like that.
It looks like something you would, I guess, like mouthwash rather than a drink. It looks like something you should be spitting out. But,
Oh, please. I mean, it's alcohol, so probably.
Oh yeah, it's literally poison. Good point.
Yeah. All right. I mean, it smells a little soapy. Maybe I've been bamboozled. Oh, nope, that's definitely whiskey.
I thought she was going to say something. Instead, she went for a second sip, which is great radio.
I'm just, getting the mouth feel. It's interesting. It tastes almost like there's a tea in there. I wonder if they use blue butterfly tea to make it blue, or like a spirulina, because it's a bit earthy. It's not bad. I prefer my root beer whiskey, but
I want to do a quick test. Stick out your tongue. All right, I'm going to ask you.
We'll check at the end.
I'm going to check at the end. That's for reference.
The teeth also would be an indicator, and if I'm able to stand.
Yes, but that's for reference. At the end, we'll see how much blue the tongue has got. All right, let's get into it.
You're welcome, everybody.
What is your number 50?
Yeah. So, I just want to let people know that I did not refer to my old list when I made this. So I'm expecting a lot of things to be different. Anyway, my number 50 is kind of a unique one because it is the only science fiction movie based on a true story, as far as I know. If you have any idea.
This is ringing a bell, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Fire in the Sky. So I think I was a bit too harsh on the review. But it's really a movie that stuck with me for decades since I was young. So Fire in the Sky is the one where about the log workers out in I don't know, some area, maybe Canada, I'm not sure, probably the U.S. And one of their friends gets abducted. So the first 80% of the movie plays out like a recreation of people telling the story of that night, and everything lines up. But then the last 20% of the movie is incredible and put a lot of fear into a lot of people who are my age and around my age growing up about being abducted by aliens. I think it's a really unique sci-fi movie. I was a bit harsh. I would increase my rating than what I gave it previously, because I think the last bit of the film is just so well done and will stick with you forever. Yeah, so that's my number 50. That
was a new entry, by the way. Wasn't on your list last time. And we did it on the show between this last list and this list, so this is one that's the show has sort of helped usher in, so that's just interesting. But I agree, it's a very interesting film. I think the last 20 minutes or so are exceptional and makes the whole thing worth seeing. Not that the previous 80% is bad, it's perfectly solid and fine, but then it's elevated quite a bit by that last 20 minutes. So
yeah, good. And there are very good dramatic bits before, and the acting's really well done. And it's just kind of a creepy, I don't know, it seems like a nothing town. It sort of feels like where I grew up in the mountains of British Columbia, I had a lot of family that worked in the logging industry and stuff like that, and all those trucks were going by when I was waiting for the bus and stuff like that. Anyway, yeah, that's my number 50.
I approve of the first pick.
Okay.
I'll also give that opinion as we go. What's your number 49, Tara?
My number 49 may surprise you. It's A Clockwork Orange.
It does not surprise me. In fact, you had this last time, but it's dropped significantly because
that's the surprising thing, I assume.
Yeah, last time this was 14.
I do think that this movie is fantastic and a masterpiece and probably deserves to be on most people's top 10 sci-fi movies. I just have so much else I wanted to include, and it's Kubrick. It's going to get a lot of love. I mean, it is a great and also kind of unique science fiction film in that the world is very different than other ones we've seen. It's sort of not too distant future. It seems kind of retro because it was made in the 70s. and it's got an interesting message about like redemption, rehabilitation, and the role of society on crime in that society, and the measures we take towards rehabilitation and what a person's really made of, and free will and all of that. I think there's so much going on in the movie. Plus, it's just well written and well made and well acted. I think McDowell was just like born to play that role. It seems he's so perfect in it, and you could check out our review. It's just amazing.
And almost everything he's done since then has been bad. So
he's a gem.
He had that
sure.
one-hit wonder, and he.
I like Time After Time, and
sure.
Star Trek. Generations, the one that he was in.
Yeah, but the last thing I saw him in was Home Alone 5, so like my opinion on him's in the gutter right now.
Maybe. I don't even know. I didn't know they made 5 of them.
Well, there's 6 in total now.
Wow. Is that the remake?
No. 5 is the one from 2012, which is about a kid who plays games on Xbox Live, and his adult gamer friend even helps him a little bit over Xbox. Wow. It's
okay.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anywho, yes. I also approve of that pick. Clockwork Orange is a great movie. Kubrick is a master of cinematography. Every visual, every scene looks gorgeous, and it's very stark and distinct. So, very good. I mean, admittedly here, I'm mostly just sitting here nodding, agreeing, giving you a couple of statistics until you pick something stupid, and then I'm going to tear into you. That's what my role in this episode is. So what is your number 48?
Another masterpiece. This one's done by a very acclaimed director, and it's probably one of my most rewatched movies, which is why I had to include it. It is Replica.
That didn't take long. That did not take long.
Probably the shortest movie on here. It's only I think it's like an hour long. But it's a fantastic movie. It really takes from old Hollywood and inspiration from old Hollywood. You get a lot of obviously Hitchcock and even De Palma, but with some Kubrick sci-fi sprinkled in. Really like state-of-the-art special effects are being used. Hardly any of the sets are real. Like they're all done on computer, and it looks great.
Okay, this is a work of fiction. Everything Tara's saying right now is a work of absolute fiction. Yes, he clearly was trying to rip off Vertigo. That's clear. He likes Hitchcock, right? Birdemic is the birds, for example, right?
I wanted to include Birdemic, but after some discussion, I thought, it's more horror. I'll stick with the real sci-fi gem.
These visual effects Tara speaks of are JPEGs. They're like clip art with actors standing in front of them. This is a travesty.
It is one of the most entertaining hours you could possibly spend in front of a television.
Look,
and
Tara, you want to say that you love this for how bad it is? That's fine. But let's not sit here and pretend
it's fantastic.
It's not a 1 out of 10 at best, because that's what it is.
I can look at my rating on Letterboxd, but it's definitely much higher than 1. I might have given it a 10, probably a 9 or a 10, somewhere between 8 and 10. Because honestly, every time I watch it, the rating goes up. It is like I said, it's like the most fun you can have in an hour. I think the movie was released with riff tracks. Like that was the way to watch it for a while. I think you can watch it without their tracks, but you have to get it on their website, because I want to say they bought it in order to release it. And we thank them. We thank the lords of riff tracks every day. Anyway,
I wonder what I have in my head.
I think that's a new edition.
It's a new entry, yes. I wonder what I have in my head, run over by a train would be like. It'd probably be better than this conversation.
What?
What's your number?
You're going to miss me. You probably already do.
What's your number 47?
Number 47.
Hold on a second. Right, the worst thing about you having Clockwork Orange at 49 is the realization that some of the shit that's going to be above it, and you've already hit that out of the park with a Replica. So I can
look. I love a Clockwork Orange, but Replica is a way better time. I've got all sorts of things sprinkled in here, you know?
What's your number 47?
I think you'll approve. It's Demon Seed. One of the first movies that introduced me to my celebrity crush, Garrett Graham. One of the greatest men who has ever lived, most attractive and most talented. I was thinking about throwing in the Philadelphia Experiment too, because that's clearly his best role. But I do genuinely love Demon Seed. This is the one that we we bring up often because it's just such a fun concept and kind of ahead of its time with the whole like smart device connected. This one has like a fear of AI, and the AI tells you from the moment it talks that it is evil. It has Julie Christie, and she's like trapped in a house, and her husband Fritz Weaver, I think is his name. He's like the scientist who's developing it. He has no idea what's going on while his wife's at home trapped by this AI who has big plans with his wife. Anyway, and Garrett Graham's in it, and he looks amazing.
The confidence that you said the sentence Philadelphia Experiment 2 is clearly Garrett Graham's best role.
Oh, he's so good at it.
Is
his best performance.
I just there's layers to that comment that I can't even begin to start to deconstruct.
Well, what do you think about Demon Seed? Is it a new entry?
Demon Seed,
think so.
It is a new entry. Didn't have this last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You must not have watched it.
Oh, we did?
Or I've just thought highly of it since then.
Yeah, no, because it was on the first 70s season, and that was before the first list.
It was the first one that we did, because I read the description, I'm like, we got to start with this one.
I think we actually started with
great.
God Told Me To, which is also another like banger to start with.
Yeah, but you'd already seen that, so this is
like
the first blind one we went into.
All right, well, I mean, I do approve. I do approve. Much better than Replica.
Replica's great.
What's your 46?
I wanted to go with a black and white classic, so I went with Johnny Mnemonic. I'm a big fan of like the cyberpunk era. This movie is like really maligned for some reason, but like it's actually pretty great. It's got one of the best villains in it, played by Dolph Lundgren, who plays like this. He's like a priest, a Catholic priest, but he murders people with a knife that's also a crucifix, and he's a hitman. I mean, amazing. But mostly it's about Keanu and his journey as Johnny Mnemonic, who has to carry information in his brain, which, okay, whatever, we all do that, except it's a chip, it's a neural implant in his head, and this is like the safest way to carry information in this post-apocalyptic future of there's so much going on in this. It's very cyberpunk, it's very cool. I highly recommend watching the black and white version. I watched it actually in the theater, and I own it on Blu-ray. We talked about it on Ace for the review. Obviously Peter hated it. I think it's a hidden, I don't want to say hidden gem, because like people know about it, but it is a gem. Like people overlook this movie and just like poo-poo it, but like it's so fun.
It's not just me that hates it.
And the sci-fi's good.
This is a pretty derided movie that most people think is shit. What's scaring me is how much your praise of actual good movies and your praise of the crappy ones you like Johnny Mnemonic and Replica, how your tone and demeanor are the same, and you're not even indicating that this is a so bad it's good movie.
Well, because I genuinely love these movies. I don't know what to tell you.
But
isn't that just adding to my authenticity?
You're just like, Dolph Lundgren's a Catholic priest who murders people left and right, and I'm like,
he's a hitman. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm just saying there could be a better descriptor, I guess, in how you differentiate, because you should be differentiating. There should be a difference in there should be like two aisles in your brain of like so good it's good and so bad it's good. And
I have one aisle, and that is I freaking love these movies. Okay.
Well,
and here's why. You asked me for my top 50 sci-fi movies First of all, Giant Mnemonic, I think, is a good movie. I think people don't like it and they're wrong.
That's another new entry, by the way.
That makes sense.
This is one you've discovered in the last few years.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely watched it when it came out on HBO. And I remember thinking I wasn't grown up enough to appreciate it, and I was right.
No, it turns out no, you were too old for it. Your brain had already went. What's actually happened is your brain has regressed in the years since then, and that's why it's working for you now.
As I have aged, my tastes have become more refined, and I know what I want. Okay, I know what I want from life. I know what I want from movies. Okay. What happens when you get older?
What's your number 45?
My number 45 is actually a classic. It is The Invisible Man, the original one.
I can confirm this actually is a classic. Yeah.
Yes. I think Claude Rains is amazing in his performance. I think the special effects are really, truly incredible for the time it came out. Was it like 35 or something?
1933.
33, yeah.
This is a new entry, by the way.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I don't know. I wanted to, I was going through a lot of the classic monster films, and Invisible Man does stick out to me as the most fun because it kind of comes off as a comedy, but there is still a lot of darkness in there. And I think the themes that it sets up in this film keep going, and like all the remakes and everything that happens after, and even like superheroes that become invisible, even Invisible Maniac, which is a ridiculously fun film. It still has the idea of like, okay, like maybe they were crazy. Maybe you have to be crazy to want to pursue this, or like Hollow Man and stuff. Like, yeah, he was pretty pervy before and stuff. But like, does having this ability turn you into a monster, Or does it unleash something that was already there? Like, is it the serum? Is it the man? And asks a lot of those questions. And I think it is a classic and a really impressive movie at the time.
Yeah, this one's actually a good movie, so I have little to add. It's very good. The only thing I will say is that it would almost be interesting to make an Invisible Man movie where the Invisible Man isn't a villain and isn't a bad guy. He like someone might even say to him, "Hey, have you done anything pervy since you're invisible?" For him to respond to go, "No, because I'm not a pervert," and then just go about his business. They kind of
explore that with the Invisible Woman, right?
I guess they kind of do. Yeah. But it would be a powerful role model for young men everywhere, I think, if they did that now.
Yeah, you might be right.
All right, what's your number 44?
Number 44 is a movie I don't think you've seen, and therefore we haven't done it on the Ace, but it's Spaceballs, by Mel Brooks. So Spaceballs is just one of those films I had on VHS growing up. It's a parody of so many movies that you're going to see on this list. I think it's really fun, led mostly by the performance of Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet. There's just so many classic jokes. It's one of those, I don't even know if it's my favorite Mel Brooks movie, but it's just so classic, like peak Mel Brooks for me. And because it has all the science fiction references, mostly making fun of Star Wars, but there's a lot of Planet of the Apes and stuff in there too. And I think it's just so fun and so vulgar, and it just makes fun of Hollywood and movies, and it's a celebration of the things we love while poking fun of it. I think Spaceballs is wonderful.
Yeah, I can't really comment on it because I've not seen it, but I can tell you it's a new entry. So far, you've only had 2 films that were on your list last time. You've been a new entry girl so far.
What can I say?
I don't know. We'll see.
What can I say?
I'll judge it more as we go. What's your number 43?
43 is another really fun one. It's Death Race 2000. This is another movie that I sort of had on VHS. It was like a friend had it, and it kept like making the rounds and stuff. And it stars David Carradine as Frankenstein, a man in a gimp suit who loves his ladies. And he drives. So the idea is that they basically have to do like the Cannonball Run, I think, where they drive across country. It's a post-apocalyptic future, some kind of future, dystopian future, I should say. And like the entertainment now has converged with like gladiatorial murder. from the days of old. So our future is people have to get in cars, race, and hit people and finish the race with the most amount of points. And groups of people are different points. So some of it's really dated and sensitive humor. That's okay. It's of its time. But it's just such a blast. There's a lot of like Looney Tune antics in it. It's sleazy. It's fun. It's just a good time.
There's literally a fake cliff that someone puts up at the edge. Well, a fake tunnel, I should say, that someone sets up at the edge of a cliff.
There's definitely a Coyote Roadrunner moment in it, but it's glorious, right? Like it's one of the most memorable parts. It's just a really good time. I went and saw this at the New Beverly Theater when they played it a few months ago, and I brought friends. And again, some people were seeing it for the first time, and everybody had a blast. It's just a fun watch.
That is also a new entry.
Makes sense. Yeah. I think last time I was going for a little bit of a more prestigious list. Now I'm just really going with my favorites.
Last time Tara wanted you to think she was smart. This time she has no such illusions.
Last time I was trying to fool you guys into thinking that I knew what I was talking about. All right.
42.
Any thoughts on Death Race? No? Okay.
Oh, well, I mean, I like it. It's a fun movie. I don't know if it quite cracks my top 50 sort of levels, but when I get around to doing my list again, whether it's a top 50 or hell even a top 100, if I feel like I'm capable of that at that point, then we'll see if it sneaks on somewhere. But it's a fun time. It's definitely a B movie though, right? I mean, it's got a ceiling.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's good stuff. All right, what's your 42?
My 42 is a little more prestigious. It is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
This has actually went up.
Cool.
This was 47 last time.
It was probably because it's one of those movies that, again, I had on VHS, so I watched it a lot growing up. And sometimes when I do that, I can kind of, it doesn't like wow me when I think about it again. But because we watched it for the A's, I was legit wowed again. Like, this is such a moving movie, and there's so much like awe and wonder. And I do think E.T. is adorable. He's ugly, but like ugly adorable. He's like a pug. And I think that the Henry Thomas performance, second time he's appeared on this list so far, he was in Fire in the Sky. Like, he's just like truly one of the best child actors of the time. Like, that was such a moving performance.
I've got a good feeling it'll be
so
his last
well done.
entry on the list though, because
he doesn't really have a whole lot.
He's done some
that I can think of.
He's done some modern TV shows, but like in terms of movies, I don't think I can think of anything else he's been in.
I want to say he was in a horror movie I watched not too long ago, but yeah, I don't think he does too much.
He was in Pet Sematary Bloodlines, which I would rather forget if I was given a chance, but
yeah,
but he wasn't.
Anyway, yeah, E.T. I mean, it's great, and I watched it a lot growing up, so it's kind of special.
Yeah, that's one that I watched a lot as a kid, then didn't watch it for a long time, and then we did it for the show, and I was like, yeah, this is still pretty special. It's still got a lot going for it. It's really well done. This was back when Spielberg was making exciting movies, because, yeah, I feel like it's been a while since he's been doing that.
And I'm a lot more sympathetic to the mom in it, and, I don't have kids, but, like, as, like, an older woman now who has to deal with so much in life, and, like, her having to deal, I guess, being a single mom going through a divorce and or separation or whatever. We don't want to get too much. It's just all happening in the background, but it's so smartly done that you really get the feel of what the kids are going through and how hard it is on her too. So the family stuff got me a lot more watching it as an adult.
Yeah. So like I said, this went up a little bit for you. Not a huge chunk, 47 to 42, but still, snuck up all the same. Mm-hmm. All right, what's your number 41? See, I know it's going to be shit. I know the way you looked at me there when I said that. You gave me this look. I can see it in your eye.
You might like this shit.
I bet it's a silly one though. It's not. This is not a prestigious, serious pick.
It's Robo War. We have Red Brown in his first appearance on my list.
First appearance of many.
Much like Garrett Graham, I am a Reb Brown fangirl. He tends to just make movies I like. And, movies that I like are very much in this film, because they take a lot from other great films.
I mean, it's 90% Predator. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah, there's a lot
here.
of Predator. There's a lot of RoboCop. There's some Terminator in this. I especially love let's make these guys super cool, like the Predator gang. But it just fails every time. This movie's very foreign and trying to be American, and I love every second of the film. And I think it fails gloriously in so many ways that it's just nothing but balls to the wall entertainment.
I mean, I do enjoy it for it being a bad movie. I was a fan of Reb Brown long before I met you, funnily enough. I was introduced to Reb Brown through internet video reviews of his movies way back in the sort of heyday of that. But yes, Robo War was always one that stuck out. That said, though, it's not a good movie. I want to make that clear to anyone. It is a bad movie.
Yeah, but I could see you having Robo War on your list of top 100.
I don't think it would make the list.
Oh, come on. You threw in Invisible Maniac in your top horror films.
Did I? Oh, sure. Okay. That was top 100, though. But I don't think it would quite make it. That said, though, if you asked me to do a top 10 so bad they're good sci-fi list, I think Robo War would be on there. But what I'm saying
is, I'm calling you out because you do put this kind of entertainment in your list also.
Okay. Horror is a little, sci-fi is a little more prestigious than horror, okay?
Is it?
It is. It absolutely is. But yes, I did have some fun, silly picks low down on my horror list, okay? It did happen. And I don't appreciate you researching my last top 100 so you could fire shots back.
I have been and always likely will be a fan of Mild Fuzz movies. Okay. I watched that list because I enjoyed seeing you and Tim discuss your top 100 horror films, and I was delighted that you had a Terra quality film on there.
Okay. Yes, there was 3% Terra quality out of 100. Fine. Robo War is a so bad it's good movie. I can condone it on that level.
Just can't concede a little bit, huh?
I am conceding. I like this one more than this is way better than Replica, and it's way better than what other stupid thing did you say already?
I would actually argue that Replica, percentage wise, is probably more entertaining, but this one has Reb Brown, and it's just so silly.
All right, what's your number 40? Well, just 40.
It's another guilty pleasure film.
Of course,
it is Timecop.
Oh no, this one's a bit more.
Okay, it's guilty pleasure with a budget, but it is silly.
Yeah, this is a higher caliber than your Robo War, your Replica, your Joy and the Mnemonic. Even in fact, Joy and the Mnemonic's probably the best comparison because that's also a studio movie, so that also has a budget. I think Timecop is clearly a better movie than Joy and the Mnemonic. It's a silly Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
It is appealing to the action. More than it is the sci-fi. Let's throw in a reason to get Jean-Claude Van Damme to do the splits while avoiding being electrocuted in a kitchen. That's probably why the movie was made.
I mean, that doesn't need to be sci-fi.
But it is just a damn good time.
It doesn't need to be sci-fi to avoid electrocution. You could do that in a present-day scenario.
It doesn't, but it does make it more fun.
It's the self-driving cars, which felt super futuristic at the time, but now it's just reality.
Oh, they're so cool, though. Yeah, I love seeing retrofuturism in all of its forms, including 90s. And I think, or is this 80s?
That's 90s.
Late 80s? It's still early 90s,
This is 94.
Okay, yeah. Oh, mid-90s. Yeah. Okay. It's hard to tell sometimes, but the mullet should tell you.
It's 94 because then most of the film's set 10 years later in 2004, which at the time was the future. Right. But obviously,
it's past the 2000s. Yeah. So yeah, anything beyond that is just The future.
This is another new entry, by the way. You've had very little
and that's
repeat.
surprising because we've always been very high on Timecop.
We have been, but you bumped it last time for other things, seemingly.
Yeah. Oh well, it's on here now because I love it. I have the poster in my bathroom. I love it. It's actually got 2 taglines on it, which I think is amazing. They killed his wife 10 years ago. There's still time to save her, and murder is forever until now, which is great.
So you can stare into the eyes of Jean-Claude Van Damme, the muscles from Brussels, as you urinate.
Yes, because that's how I sit on a toilet to urinate. It's actually above my toilet.
Well, you didn't establish that.
It's above my toilet. Also on my toilet, I have 3 seashells with directions.
It could have been on the opposite wall. You didn't tell us that.
That's true. No, it's right there when you enter. So, he's there to enforce the three seashells, or you'll get roundhouse kicked.
Okay. Right. Well, yeah. There's nothing stopping you sitting on the toilet like you're on a horse and facing the other way.
I suppose. I don't know how more effective it is, but I can look at Jean-Claude Van Damme, so maybe I'll give it a shot.
All right. Anyway, what's your number 39?
Okay. 39 is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, this is a big drop. You had this at number 11 last time.
It's probably because I haven't watched it since then. I know I love it, but most of these other things, if not all of them, I've watched more recently. But I do genuinely, obviously it's in my top 50. I do genuinely love it. I was so impressed when it came out. Just not just with like the story, but also with the effects. I think the director Matt Reeves, right? Sounds right.
That's correct. Yeah.
I think he really stepped to the plate and just swung it out of a park, and not created the franchise, because obviously it's a pretty well established franchise, but like the first one was a surprise because the first of this trilogy was a surprise because they justified why it's worth revisiting the Planet of the Apes. But this one, I think, really was like, oh no, we should really take these movies seriously because this is fantastic. I think having both, being at this time where humans are still intelligent, and because the timeline of the original film still is canon, I suppose, with these. This is like a prequel. So it's right at that edge of like, okay, apes have like made their stand and now everybody's kind of starting their own society. And it's a bit of a look of like, maybe even like how, I don't know. It's like it's just really well made. You find that much like the last film, you're really rooting for the apes in this. Although there are good humans this time. The last one had good humans too, but like this one really like, you don't really know who to root for so much, but you love Caesar, so you're probably going to side with the apes. But in any case, there's so much going on in this, and it's just really well done. But like I said, I haven't watched it in a while, so that's why it's probably gone down. But yeah, still fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, just to correct one minor thing there. It's not canon with the original because the timeline doesn't line up at all.
It doesn't, but it does imply in the first film that like they did send astronauts into space.
Yeah, but
for
like,
a thing. So,
but there's lots of things that can't
it's still
line up.
implying that this is a prequel to what's going to happen.
No, it's implying there's going to be a rough version of what happened originally at some point, but like some of the characters those astronauts are supposed to encounter would be long dead because they're not meant to arrive for like at least 100 years. I can't remember what the timeline was in the original movie, what they said, but it was something like that.
I don't remember. Yeah, but I like that they at least imply that is our future, like from those films. So this is what we're leading up towards.
Yeah, which we never need to do, although Kingdom's coming out, so they're probably going to build up to that ship landing at some point and mess with the timeline all more. Which
I am excited about. Like, I'm curious to see where this goes, but I'm always going to be excited for a new Apes movie. It's just
the director's unproven, so I am then skeptical. I'm not going to trust that until I see it.
Sure. The trailer looks good though.
Because he did something else that was kind of meh. I can't even remember what it was now.
I know he did the Maze Runner, but I haven't seen those.
Yeah, maybe it was that I was thinking of. I can't remember. Anyway, that was your number 39, down from number 11.
I think he's done something else that hasn't been released yet too. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. What's your number 38?
Well, we got another appearance from Reb Brown, and that is Youre the Hunter from the future.
Yes, what? He's the man.
I mean, clearly it's here because of the song. The song's incredible. Youre is Reb is probably the happiest we've ever seen him in this film. He just shows up smiling and destroying civilizations one at a time. He's probably the villain of this movie, but it doesn't play that way.
I think it's key. It's important to point out that he's destroying civilizations one at a time, but not through malice, more through sheer incompetence. Which you could argue, well, which one's better or worse, I suppose.
Yeah, it's kind of adorable, really. Speaking of adorable, they often sub action figures for humans in this to do stunts, and it's incredible. I also have the poster. You can't see it. You can see a couple posters here, but the one I have right next to me is Youre. And if you haven't seen it before, it's great because it's just Reb yelling at this guy with not the right haircut from the movie and not the right woman from the movie. And it's also got volcanoes and like mammoth tusk, and there's aliens in the sky. So there's like UFOs, flying saucers. So much goes on in this film. It's very entertaining. I've watched it many, many times, usually with the riff tracks, but not always. That's how good it is. So, yeah. Anyway, gotta represent my Reb.
It's an entertaining bad movie. I will concur with that.
I would argue that it is a good movie because that's what happens when it's entertaining.
It's worth mentioning both Youre and Robo War were bonus episodes of the Ace, so you can find the back catalogue of those on Patreon if you wanted to go and support us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Anyway, you may continue. Yeah. What's your number? That was a new entry, by the way, if I didn't mention that. What's your number 38?
That was my 38.
That was your 30. Sorry, 37 I meant. I wrote down 39 again.
Number 37 is The Mist.
Oh, okay. This is up a little bit, actually. This was 49 last time.
I actually watched it not too long ago. I saw that one of the local theaters was playing it in black and white, and I thought, wow, I really want to sit down and watch The Mist. I know it was on my list. You said it was where?
49 last time.
49. That's probably because I've never really sat down and watched the movie all the way through. But like the movie, because it came out during a time when I was like, I would just sort of catch stuff while I was on a boat in the ocean. But like the movie was like good enough that I like pieced together through like different like parts that I watched. And of course the ending was so impactful that I felt like I had watched the movie. So that's why it was on my list before. But I really I sat down and I watched the movie from beginning to end, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that was great. And I really want to see this in black and white, but I wasn't going to be able to make the showtime, so I just bought it. I bought it in black and white, and I can say it's great in black and white also. Much like Giant Mnemonic, there's something about it that just adds like a classic feel. It does work, you know, like there's something about it that takes away from maybe some of the special effects that adds a little bit more imagination to things. And one of the complaints we have about like modern movies where they try to make monsters is that they kind of look a little samey. And I feel like that's still the case in the Mist. Like that's the one complaint I have, is that some of the monsters kind of just look a little, I don't know, like they're like scary bugs or like big bug-like things. But I do think that that having the black and white feel makes it creepier, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, in any case. That was something they did quite close to. I think the original Blu-ray had the black and white version as an extra on the second disc.
I highly recommend it. I just bought it as a black and white film. Maybe they have an extra where you can watch it in color, but like, I don't know. Like, I do think obviously it's like, it's Frank Darabont.
Yep.
who may show up again. But like, I think this movie is it feels the most on my list. I think like a movie that could be a play. You know, like you could just have a play take place in like this, for most part, grocery store with the townsfolk and stuff like that. And if, because of that, it feels kind of Twilight Zone. And I think it's I just think it's really well done. The characters, you kind of you get that small town feel, that eeriness. You wonder who the real monsters are, and it's got just great casting overall. And yeah, highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's very good. I love The Mist. It recently just went 4K as well. If you had it on iTunes, it upgraded, or you can buy it in 4K now. So, that was nice to see. No, it's got great characters. It's got that Night of the Living Dead style of like a bottle story where it's all in this supermarket and they're all hiding from the dangers outside. And the ending is unforgettable. So, no, it's very, very good. What was your number 36?
36 is Time Crimes.
Okay, this is up slightly. This was 38 last time.
Yeah, this is one that I continue to like tell people about and say, you know, if you're looking for just a fun sci-fi film that you've probably not seen, Time Crimes is incredible. It's about just a regular ass dude who's looking out in the forest and sees a woman who's naked. And at first he's like, oh, cool, my lucky day. I think he's meant to be bird watching. That's like his hobby, and he just sees a naked woman. And then like she disappears and he thinks, oh, maybe she's actually in trouble and I should go see if she's okay. And he goes to investigate, and wouldn't you know it, some time travel happens. And the way the movie plays out is very satisfying. I think our main character is incredibly funny because he's sort of an accidental time traveler. And I think that's just a really fun setup, but also like it's kind of tragic, like the way some things play out, because you all of a sudden because he has this thing that's happened to him where now he has to not screw things up. And I don't know, it's all mapped out so well in such a satisfying way. It's a really fun watch. And yeah, if you've never seen it, watch Time Crimes. It is a foreign film, so you have to read subtitles, or you can watch it dubbed.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah, you don't have to do that, but like, I'm sure it's still fine. It won't be as good, but I'm sure it's still fine.
Yeah, Time Crimes is very good. I can second this recommendation. It's a very inventive little film that handles its time travel very well. And like you say, it's got kind of a dark sense of humor at times as well. No, it's very good. All right, what's your number 35?
Yeah, I got a very good list.
Whoa! Just because you've had a couple in a row that I've agreed with does not mean that we're rating it super highly yet. Okay.
Number 35 is Tron Legacy, which is a movie we don't agree on, but no. I was super impressed when I saw this in the theater, and I still think that this is one of the coolest movies that I've seen. I think it's so cool. I don't know, like the world is cool, the soundtrack or the score is cool, even the soundtrack is cool. I think there's some like Depeche Mode in there or something. It's just really innovative, and it expands on the world. It turns the things that were kind of silly in the original Tron into something again cool. I was super impressed by this, and I will stick to, I would die on the hilltop that this is one of the best usage of 3D in a movie theater that I have seen. So yeah, really awesome film. I actually think the father-son stuff is really good in it too. I wish that this movie launched a trilogy, but unfortunately it did not, and I'll forever have to live with that, but that's okay.
That's a 6.
Godzilla -1 is a 5.
You piss off with that nonsense. Secure that shit. I'm not having it. Not having it one bit.
You just gave me PTSD. I know it's an Aliens reference, but it's also something in the military says a lot.
Yes, it wasn't an Aliens reference, yes. If I'm doing military jargon of any time, there's a very, very good chance I'm just quoting Aliens.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm quoting real life.
All right, what's your number 34? That was a new entry, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Tron Legacy was not on your list last time.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, we revisited it, but I do love that film, so I'm glad it's there. Number 34 is The Blob, 1988. I think this is another Darabont film, right? Am I crazy?
No, he didn't direct it, but he I think he wrote the script, I want to say.
Okay, so this is the other one I was thinking of then. I thought he did this film, but I freaking love this film. I mean, when we watched the 50s one and retroactively watched the 70s one, and they're fine. Like, they're cool. It's a cool monster idea, right? But it's this movie that says, hey, this is actually a cool monster. Let's see if we can make a blob terrifying. And they succeed because we see people melt inside of it because it's actually see-through. And the more it eats, the more it grows. It very quickly it does... it tricks you into thinking you're watching the main character until they die, and you watch them disintegrate. And I won't tell you which one is which, like which one it dies, but I think that very quickly this movie turns into Not Your Mother's Blob film. And the deaths are great, the comedy is great. We got Art LaFleur in it. Always happy to see him, a Trancers staple. Unfortunately, Trancers did not make my list, but a special honorable mention goes out to those that saga of films.
Well, maybe the first three. 4, 5, and 6 were pretty rough, but
I still like them. But yeah. In any case, I think The Blob is just so special. Of all like the remakes in the 80s of like the 50s and 60s films, I think this is just top tier. Chef's kiss, one of the best. And it's just so funny. Oh my God. The comedy is 10 out of 10 in this.
This is actually down a little bit. You had this at number 30 last time.
Well, I got so many more good movies to go through.
I'll be the judge of that.
Will you?
Yes, I will.
You could judge it. But you are not the judge. I am the ultimate judge. It's my list.
Every time you see a movie I don't approve of, I should have like a little soundbite from like a Judge Judy or something to kick in. Then I could...
Bailiff, take her out.
Yes. Take her away, she's drunk. Alright, so... No.
Romulan ale should be illegal.
I do love The Blob 88. It is fantastic, it is entertaining, it is the best in all the kind of B movies, practical effects kind of way, and it is very funny. So,
yeah.
You know what they say, only... hockey season only ended months ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's close enough. You should probably rewatch it.
I remember the quote. The quote is, but hockey season ended months ago, but I was trying to rephrase it in a way that sounded like the end of my sentence. Anywho, what's your number 33?
Maybe a new entry. It's kind of a newer film. Psycho Goreman is my 33.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely new. Yeah.
I adore this film and this director. I think he's really got something special when it comes to like getting the feeling of like being a kid and playing with action figures, things that like don't match, but like it doesn't matter because you're a kid with imagination. I think he just nails it, but like turns up the gore to 11, like I think it's, and every single time PG speaks, PG for short, by the way, it's every single line that he has is freaking 10 out of 10 gold. It's hilarious. It's dark. And I think it's paired so well with this little piece of shit girl who's just, I say piece of shit, like she is a shit. She's like a little shit to like everybody around her.
She is the star of the movie though.
She really is. Like, she's such, like, she's not the greatest actress, but she freaking nails, like, what it feels like to have control over everybody, because she just takes control. And even of this, like, monster from another world that's gonna, like, eliminate everything that it touches. Somehow she's like, well, I mean, she's not afraid of it, because, like, she's never been afraid of anything. Like, all she does is has control, and she just takes it. Like, she has the thing that controls him, and it's their relationship that blossoms. I just think I don't remember the name of the director. I keep thinking of the Maverick director, but it's kind of similar. I think Kostansky, I think is his name. I just think he's got something just right about this film and his style that I want to see more stuff from him. I hope he makes more. I hope he makes more Psycho Gorman movies. I'm not done with that. Go back to it.
I mean, I had a lot of fun with Psycho Gorman. I don't know if it'd be ranking as high for me, but yeah, I do remember you fawning over it very, very suddenly.
Very impressed by the film, like, from the beginning.
It's very entertaining. It's
and it's got your boy Rich Evans in it.
I mean, his voice is there for a split second.
He does the "oh my god."
It's not as iconic as the yelling at AIDS, though. Let's be honest.
If I could have included The Last Vampire on Earth, I would have. Speaking of most watched films, like, that one is up there.
Yeah, definitely not science fiction, though, so you can't include that.
Next time.
Mm-hmm. All right, that was 33.
Cut to Rhodes.
What's your 32?
32 is super fun. Another more modern film, but not that modern. Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you had
or
this.
Live Die Repeat.
You had this last time. This is down. You had this at 20 last time.
Yeah, I do. I mean, honestly, I think the Groundhog Day formula just works. Like, I haven't seen it fail yet, and I think this is one of the most fun, big budget action sci-fi films that uses that formula, and it does play like a video game. I think Tom Cruise is perfectly cast in it. I think he just delivers. It's one of the last performances we get from Bill Paxton, R.I.P., and his role is really fun. I like the female lead, the Full Metal Bitch. I wish I could take that name, but I haven't earned it. In any case, yeah, this is just a movie that works on every level. I think the stakes of the third act are super real and tense, and the alien design is just okay, whatever, but everything else works. Everything else is just, it's just fun. It's a formula that works. It ain't broke. It's probably the most video game-y movie that you'll experience, even more than, like, Ready Player One or something.
Yeah. No, not Ready Player One. Sorry, Ready Player One's not good. I didn't like that movie, but Edge of Tomorrow
I liked
is
it, but, like, not like this.
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow is good. It's even very good. I do have some minor quibbles about the third act, which we debated when we did it, but
better than Godzilla -1.
Is that going to be your rebuttal to anything I say I dislike? All you're doing is flushing your credibility down the toilet every time you say it. The audience all love the Godzilla -1. They all love it.
It's true. Except for Born Now, he's my guy.
Even he liked it. You're clutching at straws here. Clutching. All right, what's your number 31?
Okay.
Oh no.
I love this movie.
Oh no.
I wanted to have a very special director represented.
No.
He has a few.
I think I know who it is.
There's a few science fiction films.
Oh no.
But I went with the best one, and that is Neil Breen's masterpiece, Twisted Pair. I mean, he is. When you want to talk about not just the dangers, but perchance the benefits of AI and integrating AI, artificial intelligence, into a pair of twins and turning them into humanoids and sending them back into the world. Like, what would that mean for society? What could they bring? Perhaps they could be superheroes or supervillains. But which one is which? I think Neil Breen is one of the most spectacular filmmakers, and I am one of the lucky few who has seen the sequel to this, which may be even better. I have to watch it again, but Twisted Pair is a brilliant, masterful film, and I'm so proud to have this movie on my list. Didn't quite make, my top 30, but there's so many good movies out there, but I could not have him not represented on a Terra top 50. Any thoughts?
Many. Like, we have done. Actually, no, the second one's not out yet, I suppose. Actually, we've recorded the second one. Coming soon to Patreon, myself and David's second Neil Breen review on Extra Reels, our monthly show where we review some of the worst movies ever made, which should be an indication of where we stand on Neil Breen. I'm not going to lie that he's
interesting approach.
I'm not going to lie that he's not a fascinating watch. It's like peering into the abyss. It's like peering into the insanity of one man and his delusions and his. I can't speak to Twisted Pair specifically. We've not got to that one yet. That's like his fourth movie or something. So we'll get to that. But
it's his fifth film.
Oh, it's fifth. Yeah. Sorry, the audacity of a Neil Breen movie making it onto a top 50. The credibility is.
I mean, I think people would have been wondering where he was if it wasn't on a Terra top 50.
The credibility's not even down the toilet now. It's in the sewer somewhere. It's it's just making its way.
I can't tell you how many times I've watched this film. I genuinely enjoy it. It's probably my second favorite Breen film. But like I said, I gotta watch Cade the Tortured Crossing again. I've only seen it once in theater. Thankfully, what an experience that was. Yeah. Anyway, Twisted Pair, number 31.
That was a new entry for the record. All right, what's your number 30?
Number 30 is Soylent Green.
You did have this last time. You had this at 37 last time, so it's up a little bit.
Yeah, Soylent Green's the one I watched when I was young. I think I just caught it on TV and always kind of stuck with me. I was really lucky that I caught it before like anything was spoiled for me, because I think it is a good one to go in if you don't know what the ending is, to watch sort of blind. But watching it for review, I was actually quite surprised at, like, not only did I still really like it, but there's a lot more going on in this future than I originally noted the first time I watched it. So I think it actually does paint a pretty interesting dystopian future. It is a 70s film, and we've watched a lot of 70s sci-fi films with the similar themes of like the world is running out of food. There's just too many people and we can't keep up with feeding them. So clearly, like, overpopulation was something people in the 70s were afraid of.
Well, and it's doubled since then, so yeah. I mean,
and turns out there's plenty of food, but like scarcity, and just what kind of things happen. Like, there are different class systems that are much harder to get in and out of. There's obviously a lot more poverty. Government has to step in, and what that means in the future when they literally control everything. What women are willing to do. And I think there's just so much more going on in this. And I'm kind of a sucker for like a classic Charlton Heston film also. Like, he's just always the actor when I was growing up who was just always on television and in the epics and in really interesting roles too. You know, he wasn't just he wasn't just like, oh, I'm only going to do the Oscar movie, even though he always gave like an Oscar worthy performance. I think Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of the special ones that I saw when I was young, and it's always stuck with me.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I enjoyed watching it and sort of like filling in that bit of sci-fi history. I can't say that I fell in love with it though, by any means. It definitely had some rough edges for me that I didn't quite get over. I loved that there was a slight pause because your internet went out and we came back and it's like a serious pick, so everything's went all serious again for a minute. I'm sure you'll ruin it with something
Yeah,
silly in a minute.
it's actually a dark and stormy night here in Southern California, which is rare. We're supposed to get rain for the next few days here.
And the entire infrastructure breaks down with a bit of rain.
Yeah, which unfortunately means that I'll have lots of work. Also, because my work's connected to rain. I won't say how, but it is.
Yes, you produce the rain. You
I do.
Go up on a roof and you start waving.
I should be dancing right now.
Yeah. All right, what's your number 29?
You could edit that out, actually. The number 29.
Were you being serious there? Because I didn't know that down.
No, it's okay. Anyway, number 29 is another 70s film. This one is not one that I saw when I was young, though. We watched it for the first time on the Ace, and that is The Stepford Wives.
Ah, yes, you had this last time, and you had this very close. This was 32 last time.
Okay, yeah.
So.
I'm very fond of this one. I think this movie kind of blew my mind when I saw it. I wasn't really sure what to expect going into it. I still haven't watched like the comedy remake with Nicole Kidman. I'm sort of afraid to. Maybe it's great. I don't know. I'm okay with like taking a different angle and retelling a story with a different genre. But I am just, yeah. I thought this one was like really fascinating from a woman's perspective. So and maybe that's why it spoke to me a bit more, because it is about like I don't really want to say what's going on in the film because so much of it would be a spoiler, but it really is about Catherine something, the actress who plays the wife.
Catherine Ross.
Catherine Ross, her husband has asked her to move from the city to a more rural area. Not rural, yeah, like more rural countryside. Suburban, yeah. Asking her to give up basically her life in New York City.
I mean, Stepford, you might call it.
Stepford, yes. Life in New York City where she's an artist and has a career, and instead asked her to go to, the suburbs where there's, she would take on more of a homemaker role and raise the children, and she does it, but there seems to be a lot of reluctance towards that kind of life, but she sort of agrees that like this is better for the children, and it is about like what women are expected to give up in order to fill the role, like leave your individuality in order to fill the role of wife and mother, and what those roles are according to society. And I actually, it was much more like nuanced and complex from the perspective of the woman than I was expecting. Though I shouldn't have been, because this is sort of around the right time for that kind of film. Anyway, it really made an impact on me, and I think it's fantastic. And the ending is super fun.
Yeah, it's very good. Obviously, you have to kind of dance around the sci-fi part of it because it's
the sci-fi part I can't really talk about, which is unfortunate because it's a sci-fi list, but it is a science fiction film.
Yeah,
so.
It's very good. I think out of all it's not my favorite science fiction film from the 70s, but I think out of the ones we watched that I hadn't seen before, it was probably the one that rose to, if not the top, then close to the top. I mean, I might like Demon Seed a little bit more, but I really did. Fun. I really did like Stepford Wives. I liked it more than most of the other 70s movies we watched that I hadn't seen. So
it's definitely very good. Yeah, it's a class of its own.
It's very thick in its analogies and what it's saying. So very good. Like I said, that was just up a touch from 32. So what was your number 28?
Well, we sort of talked about this character already today. It is Godzilla. 1954's Godzilla.
Yes. Very interesting. You're down one. This was 27 last time.
Okay, yeah. Cool. I didn't even look at my old list, so I had it available to me, and I decided I'm just gonna go off instinct here. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, obviously Godzilla is an awesome film. Like Godzilla himself is awesome. I think the original film does a really great job with the human characters. Probably the best movie that has ever done human characters in the Godzilla franchise, although I haven't seen all of them. I think the monster itself represents so much. There's a lot of subtext and nuance. Obviously, this takes place right after World War II, and what that means. There's a lot of there's a lot going into this movie, a lot of history going into this film. But they created the kaiju genre, as far as I know anyway. I don't think there's anything before this. And it was spectacular. And Godzilla himself is just so awesome. I'm just kind of repeating myself because I'm a little drunk on Romulan ale right now. But it's... I don't know what else to say. Like everybody knows Godzilla. It's a fantastic allegory for war, for nuclear power, for responsibilities, and the monster itself is so cool.
I mean, I think that'll suffice. Obviously, Godzilla's a classic. There's no arguments from me here. This is a sensible pick. It's an excellent film. I will not fight you on it. So there you go.
You may fight me on what comes after.
Oh God! What have you got? What's
well,
number?
I know you revere Godzilla probably more than I do, but like actually, the next few are pretty great, so I don't worry about it. But
okay, what's number 27?
Another monster movie. This one is Tremors. I think Tremors is like one of the most perfect B movies. Like it's not too high budget. But it has some great sets. It's got great characters. It's got that small town feel, but it's like a desert. So it's interesting, it's an interesting small town. And like you've stated many times before, it's the floor is lava, the movie. So there's so many rules involved. I think the graboids are an awesome monster that was introduced in this film. I think having both Kevin Bacon and the other guy whose name escaped me, he just died. Thank you, Fred Ward. I think their chemistry is so good. Like there's a cool lady figure in there too, which is nice. But like it's a bromance movie for sure. I think I just think it's such a fun movie. Some great kills, and of course it introduces the world to Burt Gummer, who would lead the franchise from 3 on. Mm-hmm. He's in 2, but it becomes the Burt Gummer show after that, which has been a really fun saga to go down. So Tremors. It's just super fun. It's one of my favorites of all time. Yeah. Sorry, Godzilla, that beat you, but I just have more fun with Tremors.
This is a new entry. Didn't have this last time, so
that does surprise me actually.
Well,
but we did watch it for Ace in between that, even though I've seen it many times.
Yeah, no, Tremors is a fun movie. I don't fault the pick. Yeah, I wouldn't have it above Godzilla, but it's a blast of a time. So, I don't know if I agree that the saga 3 onwards is anything other than miserable, but. 2 is a solid.
We watched them all.
2 is a solid sequel, but after that, it gets into some hairy territory.
2 is actually surprisingly pretty fun. Also, yeah, I agree. And that one centers around Fred Ward. But
yeah, all right. What's your number 26?
Number 26 is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I'm actually surprised that you and I disagree so much. Not so much, but like enough on this movie where it maybe wouldn't even make your list, but like this is a film that I watched many, many times growing up, and I think much like E.T., there's just so much awe and wonder, and it just like Spielberg just knows how to nail family dynamics and like inner struggle that is very relatable, that people have to go through. And it's just like the idea of like of knowing something else is out there, being obsessed by that, and like having an experience that you can only share with like a very handful of people and taking it seriously for this film. I think obviously, like when we watched it, we saw a lot more parallels to like Spielberg's own pursuit of his career and his family life, which is interesting to watch from that perspective. But like, I think the movie is just really brilliant and fun and inspiring to watch. And maybe from like an outside perspective looking in, he's kind of an asshole to his family, but like it's still, I don't know, like there's still something relatable about being driven by something that you just have to prove, you know. There's so much going on in this movie. It can almost be a sports movie, like the obsession and passion that he puts towards something. Anyway.
Yeah. I like it for the record. You maybe sound like I didn't. I do like the movie. You did put this up though. This was 36 last time, so you went up about 10 spots. So
yeah,
yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a good movie about communication. So.
Wow, I forgot about that.
I'll be honest.
There's communication going on.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I only remembered that joke because when I was getting all your previous numbers, you made that joke before I could on the last.
I took it back.
I was never even going to make a joke. You just jumped in thinking I would. So I just wanted to test your memory this time.
Still works despite the booze. I'm feeling the booze. That's why I grabbed peanuts because I'm like, ooh, I'm drunk.
All right, well, we're halfway through, so time for number 25.
Okay. Wow, halfway through. Okay. All right.
That's how half of 50 works, yeah, 25.
I know, I'm just looking at the time. All right. And the drunken levels. Okay. Number 25 is They Live.
Okay.
I don't remember watching this movie before we reviewed it. Like maybe I had seen clips from it, but I think this is probably a new entry, right?
It is indeed a new entry.
That makes sense. They Live is something I've sort of associated it with like terrible things because I think people sort of, I don't use the word appropriate because that has connotations, but I mean, kind of like they sort of use this film in the wrong context and sometimes for evil context, which is a shame. But there's a lot of messages and subtext and like literal hidden messages that are shown to you. So I don't know how hidden it is, but like it's one of the themes of the film is, about control, about free will, about who we place our trust into. A lot of the American dream. I think Roddy Piper is like perfectly cast in this, as well as Neil. What's his name? The other guy in it.
You mean Keith
Neil
David?
Something. Keith David. I don't know why I always forget. I always think Neil, but his name is Keith David.
That's why you're saying like Neil. What is the rest of it? I'm like, there's no Neil. What are you talking about?
I do that all the time with Keith. Like I mix Keith and Neil all the time. Keith David, who's, I apologize, Mr. David. If you're still with us, I don't know. Yes, you are. I apologize. You're amazing. I'll never forget your name from this point on.
Just if you're alive or not. That part will be fuzzy.
Because he was in Nope.
Yes, he was.
No, they shouldn't have put him on a horse. He's too big for a horse. Anyway, I felt bad for that horse. He's a big guy. Anyway, I think They Live. It has so much messaging in the film, especially for like a time in American history that a lot of people in another generation look up to, when really there was a lot happening class-wise and government-wise that was pretty shitty and shady and setting up a lot of things that in the future and like current day and even before really screwed us over. So I think that They Live is just there's a lot happening. You can tell it's kind of like a movie that was written in anger to talk about current day politics, and I think it does it so well. And I think the design of who they are is so memorable and awesome, and I love the usage of the glasses and what it reveals, and everything turning to black and white. I think is so clever, and it has probably one of the best fight scenes in any film history. So anyway.
Yeah. No, and every day there's like new advertising patterns to like insert ads in weird places, and all I can think of is we're getting closer and closer to just the subliminal.
This is your god now.
Yeah,
obey,
consume, obey, consume. No, lately it was great. I remembered liking it, but I liked it a lot more after we watched it and I saw it with adult eyes. It's very, very good. So, all right, what is your...
advertising especially is like a big one. Anyway,
yeah. What's number 24?
It's my final Reb movie. And it's my favorite one.
You got 3 Reb movies. All right, go on.
Yes, it is Space Mutiny.
Believe it or not, you did not have this last time.
That is surprising, actually, because this is probably my second most watched Mystery Science Theater episode. I've seen it without the Mystery Science Theater, and I've seen it with Riff Tracks many times. But Space Mutiny is just a very special film. I find it endlessly rewatchable. I think you've got Cameron Mitchell in there. You've got some villains that are hamming it up big time. You've got footage that clearly came from another show or movie mixed in for special effects reasons. And you got Reb screaming. You've got very interesting uses of models and little golf cart things. I think the movie is just endlessly rewatchable and fun, and Reb will never cease to entertain me. And his real life wife is in it. Yeah, I love Space Mutiny.
I mean, I don't know what to even add. I mean, Cameron Mitchell's in there doing his shtick.
Yeah.
For a so bad it's good Mystery Science Theater movie, it's got some hallmark moments.
Oh, it sure does.
But out of the 3 you've put in here though from Red Brown, I would say this is the weakest of the 3. But maybe that's just
Yeah, it's probably just personal preference. I do think the other 2 are also very, very entertaining, obviously, but I don't know, there's something about Space Mutiny that's just so special, and they make some really glaring errors in it. And I do think that his wife is also just so fun to watch in it as well. It's like, I think all the main characters in that are way more entertaining than the other Red Brown films.
Okay. All right. Well, what is your number 23?
Number 23 is Return of the Jedi.
Okay. Which is a new entry. You did not have this last time.
Yeah, I think before I sort of made up rules like, oh, I should only have like one from a franchise in there, but I didn't want to do that this time. Plus, we rewatched them recently and for the show, or like all the Star Wars original trilogy, and I just didn't want to. I don't know. I didn't want to not include them because they are great. All 3 of them are great. So, Return of the Jedi has made the official top 50. I think it is not just a fun watch because all the Star Wars movies are really fun, but I do think this is a really appropriate end to the trilogy. I think they bookend a lot of themes really well. I'm not disappointed that there's another Death Star in this, although a lot of people seem to be upset about that. I think it really does bookend Luke's journey really well in this, and the themes are reinforced. I think every character has great moments. And yeah, I like the look of the jungle on Endor. I love the Ewoks. I really love the opening of the film, which is actually a long scene, as we talked about in our review of it, with Jabba's palace, and getting the gangster side of space. I think that's super cool. And you get to see Luke as a badass Jedi with a green lightsaber, which is the best lightsaber.
Okay. I like Return of the Jedi. I just, I think it's the weakest of the original 3, but it's got a good ending. It has some fun moments. Yeah, it is interesting actually because I'm looking at what Star Wars movies you had last time, and I don't know if they're all going to be, especially since we've only got 22 entries left. Like, I'm curious as to how many of them might actually appear here. So we'll
Yeah.
find out. But that was a new entry. What is your number 21? Oh, sorry, 22. Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's kind of easy, but it's Empire Strikes Back.
You're so
I said during
lazy.
our
You're so lazy.
Well, I mean, I kind of said when we talked about Return of the Jedi that between the two, like, I mean, I think they're both pretty equally great. I gave Empire the one up on this one just because it is generally considered to be a better film. I think it is kind of exciting the way it ends. And it with the anticipation. So because they don't have to conclude anything, which is harder to do, they just sort of set up, which is the easier thing to do. I think generally it's more regarded for that reason. I think ending a trilogy is a lot harder than like continuing it. So, but it does look good. The characters are elevated. We get more relationship stuff going on. We get more complexities between characters that we don't know, have more connections that we think from the first film. And then we get Yoda and Dagobah, which I know you're not the biggest fan of, but like most people are because Yoda's great. And anyway, yeah. So yeah, I didn't want to separate the two. So
Okay.
I just sort of stuck them together for that reason.
That is also
Kind of like having, Infinity War and Endgame together or something like that. They kind of feel like the same.
That's a new entry again, by the way. You didn't have either of those last time.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, all right. Okay. What's your number 21?
21 is WALL-E.
This is down a little bit. You had this at 17 last time.
Okay. It's still pretty close, though. WALL-E is, I mean, I guess I'll spoil it. It's the only animated movie I have on here. But I do think it's really special. Like, I think what is it, like the first 2/3 or half, I'm not even really sure, of the film is like hardly any dialogue. It's just all atmosphere and this adorable little robot who's been left on Earth purposely because like people don't really consider robots to have like I don't know, to any kind of agency, I suppose. So it's just a worker robot that's meant to clean up trash from what humans have left behind. And it keeps doing its job even though humans have abandoned the planet. And all of a sudden, a fancy new robot shows up and sparks maybe a romance. I don't know. So it's just a really beautifully made science fiction film about a future Earth. Humans are not there. We know what happens to humans. We know why they're not there, but we don't. But the beginning of the film is just so, I don't know, it's just focused on this robot in this environment and like remembering why humans were great and all the great things that we made and created and how we took advantage of that or like took it for granted, things for granted. And yeah, the blossoming romance and eventually we do go to a third act, which I think doesn't hurt the film for me at all because I like where that third act goes and it is really fun. It's not quite as beautiful as the first couple, but yeah, it's just a really special animated film.
Yeah, I like WALL-E a lot. It's I think the third act presents some issues because it doesn't have that artistic kind of atmosphere that the first act does. Like the first act is so haunting and kind of beautiful because it is just this like solitude and this simple story. And then, the back chunk of the film kind of adds in a lot of other things where I think some people who are in love with how it felt in the first part feel like it takes away from what they liked about it. But
yeah, and the contrast of like, basically we left Earth because we trashed the planet and WALL-E is a trash robot. So his job is to just go through and be a trash compactor for everything the garbage that we left behind. So when you first open up and see the world as it is, as we've left it, it's a big dump, right? But WALL-E just keeps discovering things about humans, and he just like, I don't know, attaches to things, and It's just a reminder of like, no, Earth is great and we should take care of it and blah, blah, blah. It's all good stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, that was your number 21. So we're at the top 20 now. So what is your number 20?
Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Yeah, you had this last time. Although it is down a little bit. You had this at 16 last time.
Yeah. That's not too far. If you ask me what my favorite Star Trek series is, I'll probably say Deep Space Nine, but the answer is truly the first 6 Star Trek films. There's something really special about all of them. I love...
Whoa. 4 of them, maybe 5. Come on. No.
I honestly, I love those first 6 so much, and there are things I love about the Next Generation ones. They're not all great to me. They are all 10s, but they're not all great to me. But 1 through 6, like, I genuinely love every single one of those, and that's probably my most watched Star Trek series are the first 6 films. But 4, there's something so special about 4 because it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's still a very classic Star Trek story, and we got time travel. It goes to modern day, which in that time is like 1987 or something like that. And it has a good environmental message. The Save the Whale movement was very strong at that point, so they made a science fiction story about like, we need to go back in time and get a whale because it's literally it will, if we don't, it'll destroy the planet, if not the universe, in the future. So this is how important it is that we hold on to whales. And the humpback whale is my spirit animal. I've always had a closeness and a fondness to the humpback whale, much like Spock when he mind melts with one. And yeah, it's comedic, it's dramatic, there's some romance involved, there's some fun antics with time travel, and always, getting all these fish out of water stories. Spock's still going through his thing where he's trying to find his identity, but he's also super crucial to the mission. It's just a good time.
I was letting a cat out, so I think I heard something about you having a humpback. That's all I heard.
Humpback whale. It's my spirit animal.
Okay. I mean, this is my favorite Star Trek movie, so you're not going to hear me fighting you on it. It's delightful. It's a good fun time. It has all the ingredients that I like in these movies. So, very good. All right, what is your number 19?
I have a classic Robert Zemeckis film, Contact.
Yeah, I had a feeling this might pop up. This is down 1. This was 18 last time.
Oh, crazy. Was Star Trek 4 on my list last time, did you say?
Yeah, it was 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're still kind of in the same territory, though. Contact is a very special movie to me. I saw that at a very important age, I think, and I hadn't really seen a lot of realistic women in science on screen before. And seeing like Jodie Foster play that role and be so important and so good at her job, and like having to speak up to be heard, and her relationships, even because like I grew up in a house that didn't have any religion, and like she wasn't religious, but like she was in love with this man who was religious, and that kind of dynamic. And I don't know, like I just saw so much of myself in that character of Eleanor Arroway that I think the sci-fi in it is like 10 out of 10, and it is based on a book written by Carl Sagan, and who somehow wrote a woman character just so well. Like he must have been such an empathetic man in real life, to be able to hear all those stories and to tell this one. I just think, and it's got a Busey in it, so it's always going to elevate a film.
Yeah,
when there's a Busey.
Yeah, but it's the lesser Busey. It's not Gary Busey. Come on.
It is a Jake Busey. They can't all be Garys, but he's got Gary DNA. So, and that teeth. He's got the teeth. I mean, which is the most important feature.
I don't know.
Oh, I just found out that some friends of mine, they're like, oh yeah, that guy used to be our neighbor. They used to be neighbors with Jake Busey. It's crazy. Apparently Jake Busey moved away, but that's so crazy.
I have nothing to add to that.
I know. It's just a wild thing that I learned recently.
Oh dear. Okay.
What could have been?
What's your number 18?
Number 18 is a recent watch for us. It's a classic robot movie. It's also a classic monster film.
Oh my god, no.
It is Robot Monster.
No.
I think Robot Monster is such a delightful science fiction film from the 50s. It has all the classic let's just make a movie, dream, and one would call it dreamlike. I think Roman is such an iconic design. You see it everywhere, and it's just a fun movie about family, about responsibility, about the end of the world, and about the fight that we would have. It's very Godzilla adjacent if you think about it.
Shut up.
And it makes Bubbles cool. So, I adore this film. I think it's so fun. It truly is one of the earliest examples of.
I want to make this clear. This is the single most boring film that we ever did on Ace. Okay, this was painful.
How dare you?
This was painful to get through.
No, are you kidding? We watched Upstream Color. Are you kidding?
that was so much better than Robot Monster. It's not even a competition. Robot Monster.
Boring. There is literally nothing boring about this film. Everything about it is delightful and entertaining and charming and
nothing happens.
And even horrific at point.
Nothing
happens. The whole world is eliminated.
Off camera.
Yeah, it's scary.
All right, this was a new entry for the record. Moving on. What was your number 17?
Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah, good movie. That's what a novelty. This has been up a little bit. This was 22 last time.
Yeah, okay. It's still within 5. For most of these that you're saying have moved around a little. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Galaxy Quest is so great. It is, every character is, you can kind of see the person that they're basing it on. It seems like it's making fun of science fiction fans, even not comic conventions, but conventions or fan conventions. But it really ends up becoming a celebration of everything that it seems to be making fun of at first, and acknowledging that, no, we need this in our life. It's, we need to have creativity. It's okay to be a fan of something. I think that the journey that everybody goes on is super fun and funny. I think everybody's perfectly cast in it. Big shout out to Alan Rickman, though, who just kills it as Dr. I can't remember, Lazarus, by Grabthar's Hammer, who really has the biggest arc in the film, I would say. And yeah, I don't have much more to say. I guess it's just a movie that I loved from the first time. I think it's just it's really there's a lot of Star Trek fandom parallels going on with this. You could probably plug in any fandom, but it seems to be taking a ton of inspiration from Star Trek fandom, and I really think that they do just a fantastic job of poking fun but not making fun.
Yeah, no, it's got a lot of heart to it, and like you say, it
really does.
It's got a really stacked cast. Even Tim Allen's good in it, so.
He's great at it. Yeah.
I should tell you all you need to know. All right, what is your number 16?
It is The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Ah, yes, you did have this.
Our very first Ace.
It is. You had this at number 12 last time.
Okay, so it's a little bit down. But we've watched so much stuff since then. That's just so great. So,
about 214 movies since then, give or take.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Yeah, it's it's almost sad and depressing when you watch it, just how relevant the film is to modern day.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
It is the first time I watched it was for the show, and it was surprising just how much I connected with it. I do think that Klaatu, who is an alien who shows up on Earth and basically gives a warning of like, look, you guys have discovered nuclear power, so we were ignoring you, but now you guys have opened up possibilities of being a threat to us. So we basically have a whole intergalactic community of ground rules that you are going to have to abide by now. And the hostility of Earth's reaction is just so believable, even in a modern day setting, that it is very much like you guys have. It's like the Spider-Man rule of like, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, look, now that you guys have made yourself noticed, we're watching, and you better not screw this up, or we're going to eliminate you, or we're going to cause great destruction to you, at least, and hardship. And even though we know with all this power and technology that we keep creating, there's great responsibility with it, we're still just so careless, it seems, you know? In any case, this comes from a time of like when nuclear powers and weapons were on the rise, and everybody was afraid of total annihilation of the planet. So it is very much of its time, but it just still resonates so much now. It's just, I think it's a perfect film, and just such a classic from that time.
I have nothing to add, but yes, it's fantastic. It's a really important piece of science fiction, and probably the best science fiction film of the 50s. So, yes, probably, very good. Yeah. And also our first ever episode, so it's important for that reason too now.
Definitely.
What are you giving your number 15?
Number 15 is Metropolis.
Oh, this is a new entry.
Yeah, another film that I was just like, it's definitely my oldest film on here. Yeah, it's older than Invisible Man, so
you couldn't go much older unless you're going to include like A Trip to the Moon or something from 1902. Like this is
my number 14 is Train Drives at Screen. Anyway, Metropolis. I wasn't just blown away by the message of the film, the relevancy of the film in today, but also just the beauty of it. Like, I was really blown away by the set pieces and the design and the camera work and the cinematography. Like, everything I think about the Daily Earth just still kind of applies to Metropolis, but it's just a skosh better because of the way it looks to me. I think it's just filmed beautifully. That gives it the extra edge.
It's very artistic, yeah, and it's
yeah. Fritz Lang, right?
Yeah, Fritz Lang. It's absurdly ambitious for its time.
Yes,
this was before
extremely.
You know, I don't even know if the term science fiction was used yet. I know technically we give the original Frankenstein novel as the title of the first science fiction story ever written. I don't know if it was being used widely by this point, but it very much is the first feature length science fiction movie in a lot of ways. It's like 1922. Like there's not much competition at that time.
Not really.
So it's pretty astonishing, frankly.
Yeah, I was blown away, and I honestly, like, every still is a work of art that I would be happy to include in my menagerie of my bedroom for science fiction art. In any case, yeah, I just love. I was just so blown away by it. Very happy to include it on my top 50. Probably on most people's top 50.
Yeah. All right, number 14.
Number 14 is Predator.
Of course.
Back to silly fun.
Yes, of course. No, this is genuinely good. I don't think this is just silly fun. I think this is very well directed, and you had this at number 9 last time, so it has dropped 5 places.
That hurts me, actually, but maybe it does deserve to be at 9. I just love Predator. I think Predator is such a unique film in that it is very much a muscle man action movie, and that literally gets invaded by a science fiction film and takes over the rest of the film. I think this might be peak Arnold Schwarzenegger for me. I think he's never looked better. He's got like, this is when his acting gets really great, and I think the movie looks beautiful. I love the creature design of the Predator. I love the one-liners, so it's still like an Arnold action movie. But I think, the direction is just killer in this one, and it is fun. It does, like, you introduce an alien that is not just like fighting, Marines or whatever. You're fighting the best of the best, right? Like, if we're going to put our best gladiators against this alien's best gladiator, you would be like, okay, well, this is like the ultimate game. So you're trying to hunt the best that humanity has to offer physically and strategy wise for war even. And like, they're just getting picked off one at a time by this entity that is treating humans like game. And there's also like a bit of a vegan message in this, so that gets approval from Tara. Don't go hunting. So yeah, this is an endlessly rewatchable film for me. I go back to it often, and one growing up that I just always looked forward to it being on television. And yeah, it's just a classic.
Yeah, I also grew up with it's one that's held up, and I've appreciated the filmmaking behind it as I've gotten older. It's not, some movies rely on the nostalgia. This has been reinforced with actual quality as I've gotten older. So
yeah,
Predator's very good. All right, what is your number 13?
Maybe controversial, but it's RoboCop.
I don't know if that's controversial. Interestingly, though, this was number 10 last time.
Yeah. I struggle with where to put RoboCop, because I haven't watched it in a couple of years now, but I know I love it. Like, it is just, it's just so great. The violence in this one, we talked about like Brandon Cronenberg and his approach to violence having a layer of cruelty involved. And I think RoboCop is like the first time I've experienced that, where like there's just so much cruelty in the violence of what happens to Murphy in the opening of the film, really. But there's a layer of ridiculousness to it also that makes you want to kind of laugh at how cruel it is.
It's more
there's
absurd.
A little bit of a Terrifier 2 going on in this,
Especially in the extended cut, where like the Ed 209 scene is the big example, where in the theatrical cut you get a few gunshots and someone says, someone get a medic, and you take it seriously. But in the extended cut, the Ed 209 shoots the guy for like 30 seconds, like just riddles him with bullets. So by the time the guy says, can someone get a medic, it becomes a funny line, because he's just soup. He's soup on the floor. There is no helping this man.
The same thing happens in Starship Troopers, right? Where a guy, his head explodes and Rico yells, medic! But hey, if it ain't broke. So I think RoboCop is a perfect film. So I did kind of struggle putting it at 13, but there is just so much stuff I love. A lot of these can move around. But I think there's a lot of subtext going on in the film that you appreciate the more times you watch it. It has a very They Live energy to the topics. I think also it's not just cruel violence for the sake of it. Like, there is a reason for the cruelty, and the movie doesn't like make you watch something just for the sake of it, Whereas I think some like horror films and stuff like that were like, oh, you're just here to see people get tortured and die or whatever. I think the cruelty that's in RoboCop is purpose to say something about the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I love. Yeah. Everything has a layer to it. RoboCop's amazing. And I also have a fondness for films that are of the genre blank cop. So this is one of them, if not the best one.
That probably is the best movie that ends in the word cop. I mean,
I also had Timecop on here, but it was lower. So
yeah.
two blank cop movies made my list, which is a very terror list.
All right, what's your number 12?
Reanimator.
Oh, okay. You did not have that last time.
I might have considered this more horror, but I do think it is science fiction. So it is very, it's a Lovecraft story. So you kind of want to put it in the horror genre. And it does belong there, but I don't know. It's my list, and I just love Reanimator. I have lots of Reanimator like Easter eggs in my apartment. So I feel like I feel like this is a very terror list to include it. It is about, a mad scientist who is it's another retelling of Frankenstein, which is science fiction. We have established that. So, and it's got Jeffrey Combs in it, who I think is just so perfect for the role of Herbert West. It is the role that he probably can't escape for the rest of his career, and has revisited himself a couple other times. And yeah, it's just fun. It's gross. I think Stuart Gordon and Brian Usna are both just so perfect for creating these types of films that I will forever hold them on a pedestal for bringing us Reanimator and some of the other works that they've given us. But Reanimator is special, and I revisit it often.
Yeah, Stuart Gordon's definitely the better of the two, because Brian Usna, when he does stuff on his own, it tends to still be disgusting, but without the charm that the Stuart Gordon movies tend to have.
I do think that, because Brian Usna, I believe, did Bride of Reanimator, which I do think is an underrated film. Like, I really like that one a lot.
Fair enough.
And it's worth revisiting.
I just recently watched his Selenite Deadly Night 4, so, I... and I wasn't too fond of it, I have to say.
I think he did, I think he was involved in a movie I watched recently called Suitable Flesh, which is actually quite good. I really love that film.
That was supposed to be a Stuart Gordon movie, and then he passed away, so I think Barbara Crampton got like a new director and stuff to do it.
Yeah,
so.
I want to say Stuart Gordon and Brian Usna were involved. Like, Usna might have been a producer on it.
Yeah,
it felt very much like them, though.
Yeah, I don't know to what extent anyone else was involved. I just know that part of it is that it was meant to be a Stuart Gordon movie until he passed away. All right,
rest in peace.
That was your number 12. What is your number 11?
Well, this is why I think RoboCop might be a little bit controversial at 13, because I actually put Total Recall at 11.
Oh, okay. Well, this is shut up dramatically because last time you had this at number 40.
Yeah, I gotta represent my boy Quado. Or boys, should I say.
Dear. It's amazing you've got a movie so high, even though you're wrong about the ending. That's masterful to me.
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Peter and I have very different interpretations of the film. I happen to think...
No, you can't spoil it. You can't spoil it. Yeah, you can't say.
But I highly suggest you guys check out that review because it's very interesting, because I just assumed that he read the film the same way I did. There is a lot going on in this movie that in subtext that I think could be interpreted in very different ways. And it's kind of a fun thing to revisit. And
yes,
it's not peak Arnold Schwarzenegger, but this is probably my favorite role of his where he's having the most fun, because he does the most like...
he has the most fun in the commentary track where he's just describing what's happening in the movie to you. He's like, and this is the scene where she sits in my lap, but he's trying to watch the news and she won't get out of the way. Like, it's...
Thank you, Arnold. I would love to watch that. Actually, I've not seen the commentary track, but that sounds amazing. Yeah, so I love the look of Mars. I love all the Martian mutants. I love the underbelly of the world, and I love the villain, which we got a RoboCop villain back, and plus Michael Ironside, which obviously is going to elevate the film. Although I think RoboCop is like a perfect film in its commentary, I just have so much fun in Total Recall with Arnold.
Yeah, I wouldn't put Total Recall above RoboCop, but I will say that when we watched it for the show, it did go up a lot in my estimation, because I remember liking it but not loving it, and I think it is a lot better when I went back and watched it again than I thought it was before. So
I'm glad you had that experience then. Yeah.
yeah. So all right, well, you have to have at least 2 new things in your top 10, because 2 of your top 10 from last time have already came out. So I'm curious to see if even there's something in your top 10 that doesn't make it at all this time.
Ooh.
But we're in the end
Okay.
game. So what is your number 10?
Ooh. Okay. Yeah. Top 10. My number 10 is Jurassic Park.
Okay, that was number 6 last time, so it's dropped a little bit.
Yes, yeah. I recognize that there are some flaws in Jurassic Park, but I can't escape just how important this movie was to me when I grew up. This is the movie that turned me into a movie fan. I watched Jurassic Park in theaters and I went, I have to see everything that Steven Spielberg's ever done. I have to see everything that Sam Neill's done and Laura Dern has done and Jeff Goldblum has done. Like I just became obsessed with behind the scenes. This movie really turned me into like someone who found a new hobby, really. So it's always going to be special. Plus, like, it really holds up so well. There's a lot of editing errors in it, but the design of the dinosaurs is just perfect. Like, and they all have rules, and I love that. Like, there's rules for the T-Rex. There's sort of rules for the raptors. The rule is basically don't let them out, because they become serial killers. I just think like there's so many great set pieces. Yeah, and talk about like I've already brought up Spielberg a couple of times when it comes to awe and wonder, but this movie turns it up to 11.
I mean, it's the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I was 4 years old when I was taken to see Jurassic Park. So
I remember going to see the film. I remember my uncle kind of talking about it and being excited for it, and then my mom took me with my friend, and there was a girl in front of us, a little girl in front of us, who turned around and said, "You guys are too young for this movie. You guys are just babies. You won't like this movie's too scary for you." And I remember being really scared because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't even know it was a dinosaur movie.
you should do that.
But she was wrong.
Anytime you're in the movies and there's kids sitting behind you, you should turn around and say that to them, no matter what the movie is.
I do love that when Jurassic World came out, I saw it twice. And then when I was working at GameStop at the time, and a kid came in with like a Jurassic something shirt on, and I said, "Hey, did you see the new Jurassic World?" He said, "No." I said, "I saw it twice. Do you want to know how?" "How?" And I said, "Because I'm an adult and I can do whatever I want." And he goes, "Lucky." So I had that at least. That was my like putting around talented kid that they're too young for this.
That was both everything I wanted it to be and also nothing of what I wanted to be at the same time. So I'm very impressed. All right,
it was like I was fun cruel.
Okay. What is your number 9?
My number 9 is The Terminator.
Okay. Now we're talking. This is obviously something you had last time. This was number 8 last time, so it's only dropped 1.
Yeah, okay, pretty close. So, Terminator is. I'm a big fan of cyberpunk, and I think Terminator is one of the best, if not the best. I maybe have one that's a little bit better. It's hard to tell like exactly where the line is for cyberpunk, but I think I know everyone loves Terminator 2, and I do as well. But there's something really special about the first one being just a straight up sci-fi horror, dystopian future. And also, I really like the love story in it. And I love Michael Biehn. And I think he does such a good job in this. And it's really a shame that he didn't have a career that, sparked after that to where he was just a leading man and everything. But it is what it is. I think this movie is just so special. And I do love the contrast between Sarah Connor in this one versus the sequel. And I do love that character arc a lot. But I just, the first one's always going to be so special to me. I love the budget of it even, it's not as big. It's more contained. And it is truly scary. And you got, James Cameron as a director who's just kills it. Anyway, yeah, it's a very special film.
People know how I feel about Terminator. I don't have to say much here, I don't think.
He hates it.
You know I love Terminator. All right, what is your number 8?
My number 8 is The Matrix. Which is the other, I think, maybe cyberpunk film. It's hard to say for sure.
I mean, I think it is. This is up for you. This was 13 last time.
Yeah, I every time I view it, I just think it moves up a little bit. I think The Matrix, I may think, oh, it's too recent to be, a top 10 classic, but I don't know. It is really great. It is very much, I want to say it's of its time, because it does very much work in that 1999 on the brink of Y2K and like the fear of technology and stuff like that. But it is a really cool movie. I think Keanu kills it in the role, and it introduces us to gun fu and the roles that he's going to excel in for the rest of his career, really. I think Lawrence Fishburne is super cool in it. There's so many themes going on, and rewatching it with the lens of the directors, the Wachowskis, who are now trans women, and the themes that are very clearly in there now when we rewatch it, but we didn't know before. I think it's just such it's such an impressive film to me, that I kind of hate to put it above Terminator and Jurassic Park, but it really deserves to be there. So, just so impressed by it. 10 out of 10, despite what Peter thinks.
I love The Matrix. It is exceptionally well scripted and paced, which is why the sequels are so bafflingly bad. It's insane how much of a drop off a cliff they are, but it's...
Yeah, not everything about the sequels are bad, but nothing will compare to this first one.
No, the first is a special film. I love it. So,
yeah.
All right, what's your number 7?
You're not going to like this one. And neither will my father. But number 7 is Starship Troopers. A movie that has become one of my favorite films of all time. Since we watched it, honestly, I've probably watched it 10 times. It's just a movie I can put on. I enjoy so much. There's so much subtext and nuance. You love that stuff in the film. I think all the characters are great. I think the romance is actually quite tragic. I think the whole film can be viewed as a tragedy in every single theme, and depending on like how you want to watch it. It's so quotable. It's got the greatest cast maybe ever, with Ironside, Clancy Brown's in there. I think the character of Johnny Rico is perfect. I think I even love Denise Richards in this, and the curly haired lady whose name is escaping me.
Dana Meyer.
Who's also Dina Meyer, thank you. And Jake Busey. Another Busey made the list.
2 Jake Busey movies. That is a hell of an accomplishment.
I wanted to include Predator 2 just so I can have Gary, but that's all right. I got a Busey in there twice. Anyway, I find Starship Troopers is just endless entertainment, start to finish. I always get something out of it, and I just think it's perfect, honestly. The more I watch it, the more I just think it's perfect.
Okay, that was up for you, by the way. That was number 21 last time, so that shot up quite a bit into your top 10. Okay, that's probably going to be the biggest shock. Well, I suspect. I mean, we'll see what the other 6 are. I'm looking at what those 6 were last time, or those other 6 things that were in your top 10, and I'm very curious as to what might not make it. All right.
I think you already know the answer, honestly.
It's distressing.
That movie gets enough love.
It's all distressing. So what is your number 6?
I'm so sorry. My number 6 is Star Wars. I'm not sorry about that.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, did you hear that? I just went Canadian.
I don't think so. I don't think I heard it, but Your solo recording probably picked it up though, so the audience probably heard that.
I said sorry. Yes, my number 6 is Star Wars.
Which
I
is
can't
down,
help it. Like,
which is down one for the record. It was number 5 last time.
yeah, I struggled between 6 and 5, and in the order of it, but yeah. So Star Wars is my number 6. I don't know what to say about it that hasn't already been said a billion times, but I mean, clearly this movie was an accidental masterpiece, maybe, but it was a vision that was taken seriously. It gave us a future that was also the past, and everything felt lived in and kind of like scrappy, and all the characters are great and perfectly cast. It gave us the smirky Han Solo character and the quippy and awesome Princess Leia, who doesn't really needs to be saved, but like kind of talks down to you, but like not in a way that you hate. And then Luke, who's this whiny little farm boy who has a dream, just wants to be special. We could all relate to that, and I think I relate to all 3 of the characters in some ways, but the character of Luke is just the most special to me. I love his story. I love his hero's journey. And yeah, Star Wars will always be my favorite. Of course, everything is elevated because of that perfect score by John Williams, and all the worlds that it introduces us to. I mean, Star Wars is perfect.
I mean, I could make some jokes, but obviously I do like the original Star Wars quite a bit, so I'm not going to. I'll just leave it. I'll leave it nicely and just.
I'm sure you agree with everything I've said anyway.
More or less. I can't be mean here. So, what is your number 5?
This might be surprising to people, but I had to put Star Trek over Star Wars, so I went with Star Trek: The Motion Picture because it gave the 4K director's edition cut. I don't know. Whatever version came out this past year or last year, and proved to the world that this movie is freaking worthy, and it gets maligned for no stinking reason. I think this is the best that Star Trek has ever looked. It's the best that all the actors have ever looked. Scotty has a mustache. Everyone's still kind of skinny. Sure, things are a little gray and beige, and there's a very unfortunate actor in a role there, but like for the most part, everybody like just it feels like Star Trek but elevated to me. Like it has a very classic Star Trek message.
Who's the unfortunate actor in the role?
The captain. If you look into the actor, it's not good.
Oh, okay.
But
I don't think I knew about this. This is just to me.
Yeah, he's also the dad from Dawson's Creek. He's got some some kid stuff in his.
Oh,
yeah.
I see.
Unfortunately,
because you said that, and I was like, wait, it's the 70s, so it's probably OJ, but I can't remember OJ being in Star Trek.
No, he was.
But fair enough.
He was busy playing Nordberg. Maybe not in the 70s.
No, that was the 80s. No, he's too busy being in Tour Inferno.
He was in that.
Oh yeah, he's in that.
OJ. Yeah, but I'm a staunch defender of this film that people are like, oh yeah, thank God The Wrath of Khan came out and fixed Star Trek. No, this is a perfect Star Trek film. It's ambitious, it's beautiful, it has a great message in it, it's got a love story in it that you buy, it's got all your favorite characters who are complicated. Kirk is a complicated man in this, and Spock also is going through the Vulcan stuff is so cool. He's got his Prince Adam haircut. He's trying to get his Katra necklace. There's so much lore that comes out of this, from Vulcan. And Vulcan looks great, and the 4K remaster is just beautiful. 10 out of 10. I just love my experience watching this movie every single time.
Hey, you have a lot of stupid opinions. I don't mind telling you that, Tara. Between you and me, Some of your opinions are dog shit, okay? I want you to know that. I say that as a friend. But you're right about Star Trek the motion picture.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I could cry talking about this movie. I love it so much. But it might be the Romulan nail.
I haven't seen the restored director's edition. I've got the theatrical cut. Maybe I'll have to get the director's version at some point. But
yeah, I mean, it was on Paramount Plus streaming. It probably still is. But you have a 4K player and a TV, so you should definitely invest in it and just go for it. You know, if you agree with me and everything I've said about the film, plus the score. You know, it gave us the next gen theme. It gave us the Klingon theme that we're so used to now. Yeah, the score is amazing.
Yeah, Jerry Goldsmith, maybe some of his best work, and that's saying something because he's done some big movies. All right,
sure has.
That, by the way, was a new entry.
Was it really?
That was a new entry in your top 10.
I'm pretty sure I had Wrath of Khan on it last time.
I will be listing everything you had last time that you didn't this time when you're done.
Okay.
So you'll find out. But
makes sense. All right.
What is your number 4?
I'm so sorry. My number 4 is the original Planet of the Apes, 1968 one.
Okay. I thought it was going to be a movie I was going to hate there for a second.
No, I'm just so sorry about the thing that I admitted, but but I don't know. The Planet of the Apes franchise as a whole is one of my favorites. There's just something so special about it, you know. It has like one of the most original twist endings of all time. I don't even know if there was something even before this that was like as much of a twist, you know. It's a very Twilight Zone story, so much so it was written by Rod Serling, so that makes sense. I think the world design is great. I think the themes are great. I think Charlton Heston is awesome in it, and I think he's perfectly cast as like the man who represents not just humanity at the time, but also like this American exceptionalism that he really just leans into, even though it's like he's such a great leader, but to his detriment. And I think that the themes of the film are so strong. I honestly, like, I go back to this movie all the time because I do think it's perfect. I think the costume and the makeup is actually quite exceptional for the time. Even though, like, people complain like, oh, they don't look as ape-like, but like they're close enough, you know it. And like the way the mouse move with the robotics and stuff that they used for that, or not robotics, I can't remember, but like it's so well done for the time that you just kind of get sucked into that world and their lore, and they're really saying a lot about humanity when you're watching it. So it's a great film.
What's funny is that just the last couple of weeks, the Twilight Zone that I did, because you used to be on the Twilight Zone reviews, and obviously you're not on them anymore. I did an episode that was clearly some of the blueprints for what would become Planet of the Apes. It was not a good episode, but there was definitely a couple of things.
There's some seeds there.
There's a twist at the end that I'm like, oh, I'm seeing some parallels here, you know. And it was an episode written by Serling, so I think it was not an accident. It was the most interesting thing about the episode, because the episode was kind of dull. Do you have any idea how noisy that bag was coming in?
Yes. Maybe.
All right, well.
Not sorry.
And how noisy your chewing now is.
Still not sorry.
Well, believe it or not, Planet of the Apes was also number 4 last time, so that is remained stationary. Wait a second, everyone. Tara's pouring more booze.
Romulan nails celebrate Star Trek the motion picture.
That wasn't even the last thing you said, but yeah, okay. I guess it is from Star Trek, but all right. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Alien.
Also not moved from last time.
Yeah, I figured.
To be fair, this happened with me. Like, when me and Tim did our top 100 horror recently, and it was like a redo from like 6 years ago. my top four were the things that stayed the same. Like everything else underneath jumbled around a bit. There was new things slotted in, some things left, whatever.
Yeah.
But my top four, I think it was the exact same.
It's hard to move, the ones that have been with you the longest and the ones that have had the most impact on you, the ones that like seriously, these movies have like influenced my personality, even, my sense of humor for one of them. So much of what I look for in films and
wait.
whatever,
What about Alien inspired your sense of humor?
Maybe not Alien, although there are some funny bits in it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's devoid of anything funny, but it's a weird thing to say. Oh, that led to my sense of humor. Like Alien.
Yeah, I just can't. Alien is how to describe it. It's like, I know you've described it as truckers in space, and that is very much what it is.
Well,
it is almost like
I can't take credit for that. I didn't come up with that phrase. That's something that the creators of the
Cameron,
movie
right?
said.
Yeah.
Well, Ridley Scott, more likely.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. I knew that. It's a Romulan ale. This stuff should be illegal.
Yes, Alien's fantastic. If you need my help, Alien's a wonderful motion picture with pacing and a great creature. Great set design. Both.
Let me use this opportunity to also talk about Aliens.
I don't want
which
you
is
to.
One of the greatest sequels ever made.
No, I'm hurt. I'm hurt because I know what dumb movie's going to be number 2, and it's not going to be Aliens. I know what's going to be there instead, and it's upsetting me, Tara. I don't need this patronizing.
That's why I've been apologizing throughout this whole thing, because I did not include Aliens in it. I know it's an incredibly important film to you. It is not to me. I acknowledge that it is a fantastic film, but I had to include Replica, and it just didn't make the cut. So
look,
Aliens gets all the love.
So much.
Alien gets all the love and is deserved, and it's a fantastic sequel, and I love the character of Ripley, and she's really expanded upon, obviously, in the second film. So, in fact, the first 4 movies I genuinely love, but Alien is fantastic.
I had to
Alien
include
is
Replica.
my favorite.
I had to include Replica.
I just had to.
That's the one you had to say. That you could have said.
But your list is gonna have so many aliens in it. Let me have my Replica.
Yeah, but that was twisting the knife. I had to have room for a Replica. Replica was back at the start of the list.
Oh, speaking of Twisted, I also had to include Twisted Pair. So.
All right, that's it. Alien. That's Alien. All right, that's we can move on to number 2.
Okay, yeah, love Alien. Number 2 is the movie that maybe influenced my sense of humor the most, and that is Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie.
Yes.
Same as last time.
Same as last time. Yes. I have a good feeling of what your number 1's going to be as well.
I think most people who know me do as well. Yes. Yes. Mystery Science Theater 3000, the movie is, I saw it as a kid. I wasn't exposed to the show because I grew up in Canada and there was no Comedy Central. But the movie came out, and I just remember having this unique experience of watching a movie that had another movie inside of it, and that was also a good movie. Like, I could definitely include This Island Earth on my list if it was a top 100. Aliens definitely would have been my number 51, by the way. But
now the salt is out. Yes, the salt's out in the open wind.
But yeah, so this movie came out. It had comedy, it had puppets in it, it had robots, with the same as puppets, but you know what I mean. It had a cute guy in it, and it was hilarious. And I just remember my family all, because it was like the HBO movie of the weekend or whatever. So I remember we all watched it together, and we were all dying of laughter. Like, we were rolling on the floor, and then after the movie was over, we all went to the kitchen and we just talked about it for an hour, and we brought up our jokes, our favorite jokes that we had heard, and it was just such a special experience. And then the internet, was available, so my brother eventually told me, hey, because it's called The Movie, there's a TV show also. And I was obsessed with this TV show that I didn't have any access to. My dad bought me a shirt, which I still own today, from that TV show when I was living in Canada. And I didn't know what it was, but it had the silhouettes on it. And this movie like definitely influenced not just my comedy, like, not background, because I'm not a comedian, although I did try once. It was a big disaster. But but it also introduced me to the love of movies that are not seen as great but still have some value, something to offer. The forgotten films of like Robot Monster or Space Mutiny, movies that have made my list because they deserve to be there.
Some movies deserve to be forgotten.
Yes. I'll always be grateful to Mystery Science Theater. I'm so glad that it continues to this day with a new cast. Good on them. And also through Riff Tracks, which will always be special to me, and I will keep giving them my money.
All right, well, after all that, we've come to the inevitable conclusion, which is Tara's number one movie.
What could it be? Why is 2001: A Space Odyssey? Of course it is. My favorite movie of all time.
The prequel to Barbie.
That's true. Did you see Barbie?
I have seen Barbie, yes.
What'd you think?
I think I respect it more than I liked it, but I do like what it's trying to do, and I appreciate. There was some scenes I really liked. I think the third act, like, I feel
not
like
good.
It's too easy. Like I like the idea that they've got a mission to do, but it was too easy. Like, they basically just went into a room and went, "We won," and that's it. And that's not even spoiling anything. So
isn't that kind of awful? Like, the best part of the film is Ken.
His subtext is very good, though. Like, it's a commentary on someone who thinks they're nothing unless a woman's giving them attention. That's like a real good examination of how young boys are, like, have this pressure, and then they turn to really bad things because they feel like they're not being good at what they're supposed to be. Anyway, we're out here to talk about Barbie.
Song. Anyway, I totally agree. Like, I wish I liked Greta Gerwig's films more than I do, because I want to support female directors and like more voices out there, and I think she has something to say. But Barbie was just kind of okay. Like, it wasn't that great for me. But in any case, my favorite movie of all time happens to be a science fiction film, and it is 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's just a special film to me. Some of my earliest memories revolve around this film for some reason. Like, I just knew that my father liked it. And I remember going to a garage sale and buying the book for a dime, a Canadian dime. I don't know what that translates to.
Less than a dime.
Back in like 1989 or something. And I still own that book. I don't have the jacket to it anymore, which is a shame. But I still own that book, actually. I ended up keeping it after all these years. And it's the oldest thing that I own from my history. And I watched it. I remember renting it with my best friend, and it just sticking, like, every still just sticking in my brain. And when I was really into art and drawing, I drew so much of this film. I just think and as I've gotten older, I see way more themes and messages going on, and what humanity needs to do to evolve, and what it means for us to get to the next stage, and what the cost is, and what the risks are. There's so much going on in this film, and I think the incredible decision to include classical orchestra music as the score makes this movie, apart from a couple of things, feel very timeless. And I think because of that, like, it almost feels like you're watching something that's not a movie anymore, but more of like a historical, like a future historical document of some kind. Not to quote Galaxy Quest, but there it is. In any case, yeah, this movie's always been special in my life, and I've never not had this film in there. And because of that, it is my number one science fiction film of all time, and also my number one movie of all time. So there you go. I ended on a respectful note for you, I suppose.
Yes, with the wonderful sound effects of a cat scratching at a door in the background.
You know, I'm surprised you made it this long without causing a problem.
Yes.
Unlike me.
As you shovel more nuts.
I'm drunk.
Well, I will now give you all the movies that you didn't have this time that you did have last time, and I'll do it in order of their entries from last time. So, number 50 last time was Until the End of the World.
Oh, that's a good one. I did consider that one.
Number 48 was Arrival.
It's a bit melodramatic.
Good enough for last time, but yeah, it's a bit melodramatic now. Number 46 was Annihilation.
It's a beautiful film. To look at.
Number 45 was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I considered it, but it's fine. It's very. Is it a Kaufman movie? It feels very Kaufman.
No, I don't believe it is. Well, maybe he wrote it. I don't know, but it was. I want to say it's Michel Gondry that directed it. Anyway, The Martian was 44.
Yeah, my taste is much more refined now.
Number 43 was The Day the Earth Caught Fire.
That was a good one.
Number 42 was The Invisible Man from 2020.
Love that movie.
Okay. Number 41 was The Thing.
You know, I didn't include it on this time. I wanted to, but it has been a long time since I've watched it. So that's I thought, no, it should probably be on here because I know it's great, but like it has been a while. So I didn't want it's probably been like 10 years since I watched that film.
Didn't we do it on the show?
No.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But
no, we never did it. Yeah.
Okay. 39 was Ex Machina. 35 was Under the Skin.
That's a Peter movie.
What, you put it on just to appease me last time?
I mean, I used to own it on Blu-ray. I bought that one before I knew you, and I was like, oh, this is a really great film. But yeah, it's a little like it's trying to be Kubrick, but like it's not Kubrick.
Just shoving more nuts, eh? Just...
I'm so good. I'm drunk.
Number 34 was Her. Yeah. Number 33 was Coherence.
I'm going to see that in theaters soon.
Oh, very good.
With a live Q&A. I don't know who it's going to be with, though.
31 was The Fifth Element.
I like The Fifth Element a lot, but I don't put it on a pedestal like other people. Yeah, and I think when we revisited it I just kind of like, I don't know, like the vibe was off for me.
I remember you liking it a lot less when we did it for the show. Number 29 was The Fly.
Yeah, again, much like The Thing, it's one that I haven't revisited in a long time, so that's why I didn't include it. But I a lot of the images have just stayed with me since I was a kid, which is probably why I included it on the first list, but not this one. 28
was Star Wars The Last Jedi.
I need to revisit that one. I mean, it did give me porgs, but I think going through the original trilogy just reminded me how special those films are that I kind of want to revisit the new ones since then.
Probably a bad idea. You'll probably remember them more fondly if you don't.
Maybe.
Number 20.
I'm not discounting that.
Number 26 was Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah, again, that's one that I wanted to include because it's just such a beautiful looking film. It's so creative, but I don't know, like I'm not like the biggest Mad Max fan, you know?
Yeah. Number 25 was Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, well, we watched that, recently, and I do still love it, and I have a great appreciation for that film. But, I mean, I had to make room for Space Mutiny.
Number 23 was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
I was a fool back then. The correct answer is Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Okay.
I know now. Now I understand.
Oh, sorry, I skipped one. 24 was The Truman Show.
Oh yeah. I didn't even consider that one. I don't know why I missed that, but that is a great film. That might be my 52.
Okay. Number 19 was Dread.
Yeah, I wanted to include that real bad. I almost tried eliminating it from the list, but it is a really fun movie, and I just love it so much. But there's 50 other movies I had to include before it.
There's 2 left, by the way. Number...
I'm so sorry.
Number 15 last time was Back to the Future.
Yeah, you might be wondering why it's not on this list. I didn't include a Zemeckis film. The one that means more to me. I think Back to the Future kind of is in this camp of movies that I've seen so much that I kind of take it for granted, maybe. So that's where it is. 53.
And of course, number 7 last time. It was in your top 10, and now it's not even.
Didn't quite make the cut.
Top 50. It's Aliens.
Here's my reasoning for it.
I don't care. I don't care what your reasoning is, Tara.
Aliens is a very important movie to you, and I know this. And I didn't include it not to piss you off. I want you to know that.
I don't believe you.
Aliens has never been a movie that was special to me, but I think because I've known you and we've talked about Aliens so much that I included it on my top 50 originally, because you sort of gaslit me into putting it.
What are you talking about? I never. We didn't even talk to each other about what was going on our list.
I honestly believe that I included it on that list originally because it was your favorite movie, but it's never really been my favorite movie. I do acknowledge that it's a fantastic movie, definitely a 10 out of 10, but it's not a Tara top 50.
I just want to just point out here that we do not discuss what's going on our lists before we present them to each other, so there was no opportunity to even gaslight anyone. Tara just likes that word because she only learned it a couple of years ago.
It's true. But in any case, I honestly, I think I threw it in my top 10 because you talked me into being a top 10 film, but it's never really been a Tara top 10. So that's why it's not on there. But I do have Alien. I love Alien. And I appreciate Alien so much, but I'm sorry.
The ugly truth has been revealed.
Figure just rip the Band-Aid off after 5 years.
Oh well, that about does it. That wraps it up. This is Tara's final show of any kind at Male Fuzz Movies or Male Fuzz TV. Is there anything you would like to say as parting words before I sign us out?
It's been a journey. I really appreciate the opportunity that you've given me to... Gus, you're ruining my speech. All right, take 2. Sorry. Yes. Okay. I just want to say thank you to Peter for the opportunity to come onto the channel and give my thoughts about all these terrific movies that we have watched. Some less so and some more so, but I really appreciate. I started as a fan, and I was able to come on and do something I didn't know I could do, and I always doubted myself. But everybody in the community has been so nice, and the ones that were not nice, I'm pretty sure banned. So that was cool of you. But I've enjoyed my time here, and I especially enjoy all the comments that I get to read from people. I'm sorry I'm not more responsive. I'm always afraid of what I should say, but that's all. In any case, I had a really good time. But unfortunately, with the way life events have gone, I just don't really have the time for it anymore. And David stepped in, and he does do a great job. He's much better at breaking stuff down and analyzing things. I take things very surface level, which is why I love dumb shit. So it's what it is. But I look forward to going back to being a fan and watching the show, and seeing where the channel grows from here. Hopefully, stuff happens and things are successful, because I really do think that you deserve it, and things work out. It's a good channel. It's always been a good channel.
Thank you.
Even without me.
I'm not sure what to say after that, honestly. This is definitely the most prominent exit anyone's ever had without, no one has ever been around as long and then has left. Like, I mean, we have.
I've been doing this almost 5 years, right? Like,
almost.
We're getting close to it.
Almost, I think.
That's a pretty good run.
It'd have been 5 years in February, I think. Would have been.
I've gone like 4 houses.
That's true. Locations have changed a lot.
Yeah.
We did 215 movie reviews, a few countdowns, however many episodes of Twilight Zone and Babylon 5, and a couple of other random one-season shows and sprinkled in between. So yeah. I will thank you for being a part of everything and being another voice. You will be missed. I know many in the community will miss you too. So
I really do love the community. So I'm sorry, guys, that I'm exiting, but I'm not going to not be a part of it.
So yeah, I guess that'll do it. So thank you for joining us, everyone. I'll forgo the usual Patreon plugs and stuff. We'll have a nice quick exit here because it feels weird to promote stuff after those speeches. So thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate it. Keep watching science fiction and computer ad salsa.